Okay. So on this page, as you can see, it says the meaning. What is the meaning of prophet? So a prophet is a human being whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Sharia or divine law to. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not order this prophet to convey the message revealed to him, then he would be considered a prophet only, meaning he would preserve this revelation for himself. Whatever Allah had revealed to him, he does. For example, how to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing what's halal, knowing what's haram. He does this on his for himself. He worships Allah like that. He would follow that. This is what defines a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, what about the case where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the divine law to a prophet and then did order him to convey it to his people? Then he would be considered a messenger. Now, what does this tell us? It explains to us something important to know, that every messenger is a prophet, but not every prophet is a messenger. This is because of what we just said. Once Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals the Sharia or the divine law upon the human being, he would then become a prophet. If it goes further to Allah commanding the prophet to convey it, then additionally, he becomes a messenger. And in some cases, it does not go further. Allah would not command the prophet to convey it, which in terms keeps them as just prophets of Allah, which is why not every prophet is a messenger. Okay. Okay. Now we read, what is something that prophets, peace be upon them, must have? So here it says that they must have 4 characteristics. And they're listed here. Truthfulness, meaning that they can't not once ever in their lives have lied, whether it was to be in a sense of a joke or just for fun or anything. The characteristics that they have is that they always speak the truth. Why? Because when it's time for them to come and convey the message, no one can deny their speech by saying like, oh, no, I'm not going to believe in him because he's lied before and so on. Like, also, when we're talking about truthfulness for the prophets and messengers specifically, it is important to know that when they inform people about something, it comes into effect. It ends up happening in reality. Therefore, they do not lie. What they say comes true in front of our eyes. Next is trustworthiness. They have to be trustworthy externally and internally, on their outer and their inner. Now, what does that mean? It means that they are protected from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from committing anything that may displease him subhanahu wa ta'ala when dealing with the people on the outer. There's trust when they talk to them, respond to them, advise them. It's all done in the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with. They also have trust within themselves, in their inner, meaning they don't ever fall into anything that may displease Allah from their inner. They don't have or carry any thoughts or feelings that are not considered, something that Allah would have them think or feel. If it displeases Allah, they will not have it. The third characteristic is conveying the message. Conveying the message, meaning that they are provided with all the skills in order to efficiently deliver the message. In what way? For example, one cannot be deaf and have the responsibility of conveying the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Likewise, one cannot be mute and convey Allah's message. They have to have competence when conveying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's message. And finally, the fourth characteristic listed here is that all the prophets should have ingenuity, or cleverness. So this is essential because when conveying the message to the people, prophets have to be able to intelligently deal with them. They should understand, the human beings, how they think, how to be able to best explain and guide them. So these are the 4 characteristics that every prophet must have. Now moving on to Okay, this page. So here it says, what is permissible or what is considered permissible for the prophets? So as we mentioned before, prophets are human beings. And what do human beings do? They eat, they drink, they experience hunger, thirst. This is all very normal, like every human being's experiences this. Prophets can also experience these as well. It's also acceptable for prophets to feel heat, to feel tired, to rest, to sometimes feel sick, and to feel healthy. Prophets can also engage in trade or have a profession like the rest of human beings do. As we learned before in the Sira, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, himself did engage in trade for a part of his life. And even before that, he was a shepherd. So they can definitely participate in what human beings do to make a living, as long as it's respectable and not considered shameful, or something that's not acceptable. These are all things that prophets can feel and experience that will not jeopardize their prophethood. Moving on to the last page of this lesson. Okay, what is considered impossible for prophets to have? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not allow any one of the prophets to acquire any of these characteristics listed. That is lying, of course, because besides it being unacceptable to do, if people were to know the prophets as being capable of lying, then that would jeopardize their whole mission. They would not believe what the prophets are saying when they're delivering Allah's message. So it's very important that the prophets do not have that characteristic. It's impossible for them to have. Next is disobedience. A prophet is absolutely cannot disobey Allah whatsoever. They must follow the command of Allah entirely. Also, because they are leaders, and those who follow them cannot adopt any qualities like disobedience to Allah or the prophets or the messengers themselves. The third is the concealment. What is this? So this is if a prophet were to not deliver the message, he would conceal it and not convey it to the people. This is impossible for a prophet to have because this is basically what their whole mission is. They have to convey the message to the people. As a messenger, they convey the message to the people. So if they have the concealments where they don't do that, what's the point? They have to be able to do that. That's something, a quality or characteristic a prophet has to have. So it's impossible if a person were to have this and become a prophet. The fourth characteristic that prophets and messengers cannot have is unawareness or being distracted. They have to always be alert and aware of what is happening in their surroundings. Those are the characteristics that are considered impossible for a prophet to have. Now, there are things that people consider to be shameful, but they're not considered haram or forbidden. Like what? Like having a shameful or low profession that people consider to not be respectable or acceptable. When regarding the lineage of someone, if a person's lineage were to have people in it that did things that were considered wrong or looked at as shameful, or someone in a person's lineage may be known as someone who's not entirely respectful or respected, this is not okay to have for a prophet. It's not going to happen. So when we recite the noble, for example, every time before the Sira class, we recite the noble genealogy of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Why? Because we believe that we take from its barakah by just reciting it. Because all of the noble prophets that are mentioned, all the noble people mentioned in the prophet's genealogy and his lineage, all the way to Sayyidina Ibrahim, have barakah. And no one can absolutely say anything bad about them. But if someone were to have the opposite, where the lineage consists of people that are not good, then the barakah would be removed from the person's lineage. Excuse me for a minute, please.